Deputy Counsel to the President, Patrick Philbin, warns the Senate about calling former National Security Advisor John Bolton as a witness in the impeachment trial. During a question and answer session in the trial on Wednesday, Philbin said the Senate would be effectively paralyzed for months on end because it has to sit as a court of impeachment while discovery is conducted. He also said the House did not subpoena Bolton or try to get his testimony during the impeachment inquiry. Philbin suggested calling witnesses could set a new precedent for how impeachments are conducted in the future.
If there are going to be witnesses, then the president would have to, in order, they said fair trial, fair adjudication, then the president would have to have his opportunity to call his witnesses. And there'd be depositions, and this would drag on for months. And then that's the new precedent. Then that's the way all impeachments operate in the future. The House doesn't have to do the work. They do it quick, they throw it over the transom, and this institution gets derailed and has to deal with it.
Now, during the session, Philbin also said the president's right to due process was denied during the House inquiry. In the meantime, President Trump is taking aim at Bolton over supposedly untrue claims made in his upcoming book. One America's Marty Golingan has the very latest.
President Trump rips into his former National Security Advisor John Bolton amid reports on the contents of his upcoming book. In a series of tweets, the president took shots at Bolton's career, claiming he couldn't get approved for the UN ambassador job and begged him for the NSA position, despite objections from other advisors. He then called out when Bolton mistakenly said the Libyan model on TV when referring to North Korea, adding, quote, "If I listened to him, we would be in World War VI by now." The president then blasted his new book, calling the allegations leveled in it, quote, "nasty and untrue."
Well, I haven't seen a manuscript, but I can tell you nothing was ever said to John Bolton, but I have not seen a manuscript. I guess he's writing a book. I have not seen it.
On Wednesday, reports revealed White House lawyers sent a letter to Bolton last week, saying his draft manuscript contains significant amounts of classified information, some of which has been labeled as top secret. They say it remains under review until further notice. The president previously stated he would not want his former national security advisor to testify due to his knowledge of state secrets.
When he knows my thoughts on certain people and other governments, and we're talking about massive trade deals and war and peace and all these different things that we talk about. That's really a very important national security problem.
President Trump also pointed out on Twitter that Bolton never complained about his concerns when he was very publicly terminated. But House Foreign Relations Chairman Eliot Engel says Bolton raised issues with him about the ousting of former Ukraine Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch. Engel says in a letter that on April 23, 2019, in a phone call before he left the White House, Bolton had urged him to investigate Yovanovitch's ouster, claiming something improper had occurred regarding her removal. The Democrat chairman claims he did not reveal the information last year because the House was using those details in their initial investigation, and was one reason for wanting Bolton's House testimony. However, in an interview about a month before Engel's talks with Bolton, the former White House official spoke on President Trump's talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and did not appear to have any concerns about the infamous July 25th phone call where the presidents discussed Yovanovitch's status in Kiev.
We'll be meeting President Zelensky. He and President Trump have already spoken twice. President called to congratulate President Zelensky on his election and then on his success in the parliamentary election. They were very warm and cordial calls.
According to the New York Times, in his upcoming book, Bolton claims in August of last year, President Trump told him he wanted to withhold military aid to Ukraine until their government agreed to investigate Democrats who wronged him in 2016, including the Bidens. The president denies Bolton's account, saying he is only trying to juice book sales, and adding he never told Bolton that Ukraine aid was withheld until investigations were announced. Critics are contending that by addressing this specific conversation, the president has waived his right to executive privilege. But reports say the White House plans to file an unprecedented restraining order to block Bolton if the Senate votes in favor of his impeachment testimony. Legal analysts believe the First Amendment severely limits the government's ability to silence free speech before it's been expressed. President Trump and his Republican defenders continue to push back on Democrats' calls for Bolton's testimony in the Senate impeachment trial, saying the House should have done their job and subpoenaed Bolton to appear, regardless if there would have been a dragged-out legal fight to obtain his compliance. Marty Golingan, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.